Hi everyone, welcome back to another week of planetary weather forecast and collective tarot card reading, where we will explore what's happening up in the sky this upcoming week from May 30th to June 3rd. Wow, we are halfway through 2022 already. So time flies, and we'll talk about first what's happening up in the sky during this week, and then we will jump into a collective reading to see what message and advice we can get from the tarot reading. So if you're here for the first time, welcome. My name is Natalie. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed everything I share here on this channel. If you like what I share, I hope you will like this video, considering subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. So let's see what's happening up in the cosmos this week from May 30th to June 3rd. While we kick off the week with the new moon in Gemini that is happening in the sign of Gemini. I did a separate video about this new moon, this lunation. I explained the astrology of this new moon, the energy of it, how it might affect us, and I hope you can check out that video. That video will be posted tomorrow, so pay attention, check it out. And because this week all the energies, aspect and transit, they're all kind of connected, so definitely check out that video. That new moon is going to affect us too for the next at least 2 weeks or more to come, as energy flows just like chi. So things that happen around this time might continue to develop and shift and change throughout the next few months until we reach the full moon in Gemini that will happen in next 6 months. So depending on your own human story and depending where is this new moon happening in your own natal chart. And if you want to explore that, feel free to book a consultation with me where we can totally explore that together. And in this video, we'll look at other transit and aspect that's happening this week that will kind of serve as a deeper layer to what's happening from that new moon in Gemini. So Mercury, as we all know, we are in the midst of a Mercury retrograde, our second Mercury retrograde this year. And Mercury retrograde started in Gemini. It retrograde back to Taurus, and this week is finally coming to an end. Mercury will station direct on May 3rd or 4th, depending where you are in the world, in the sign of Taurus. And remember, even though Mercury stationed direct, the energy might be pretty strong when it's stationed direct. So around this week, that time, later this week. But we will also be in a post-shadow energy for about couple weeks. So we'll finally be out of Mercury retrograde energy around June 18th. So even though Mercury stationed direct on June 3rd, 4th, you still want to pay attention with all the typical Mercury retrograde things until mid-June. This Mercury retrograde, as I mentioned before, or if you listened to my previous video, it started in the sign of Gemini, which is one of the home signs of Mercury. And now it's retrograding back to Taurus and going to station direct in Taurus and coming back to Gemini eventually later on in June. So hopefully we all have a lot of time to rethink, do all the RE words, revisit, rethink, reevaluate things that are happening in our life, in different areas of our life, especially in your own natal chart, the house that is ruled by Gemini and Taurus. Maybe you have been thinking about those, or it can be around the theme and things that govern by Gemini and Taurus, which is about the way we communicate, our thinking process, our self-value, self-worth, the way we value money, our relationship with money, our own finance. It is also our daily surrounding, because Mercury talks about our immediately surrounding, our daily life that we experience, because Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So maybe you have been thinking about all these things in your mind, and later this week, as Mercury station direct, you might have some new approaches, new ideas as to all this area, how you want to make changes or shift or communicate those areas with people in your life as well. And when Mercury station direct, it is going to conjunct a fixed star called Algol, which is associated with a Greek goddess, Medusa, which talks about feminism and betrayal, outcast. I'm not going to go into a whole detail of the myth. You can talk about it, but it is surrounding Medusa was violated and betrayed, outcast, and her anger and rage turned her into a dark goddess. And it is a very tragic story, and we do know something related to that is happening around the world right now, and it will be interesting to see how it develops when Mercury station direct. It can also be you maybe expressing your own feminism, confronting betrayals in any relationship in your life, if that is happening to you. So if that's happening in your own human story right now, maybe that is what you have been processing, and that will be you communicating that once Mercury goes direct. Another aspect that is happening while Mercury station direct, it's actually related to another transit that is going to take place the next day after Mercury station direct. So you can see how all this transit are kind of interconnected with each other. And the next transit that I'm going to talk about is actually Saturn in Aquarius, in stationary, slowing down, because Saturn is going to start its retrograde journey the next day after Mercury station direct. So we have Mercury that is in stationary, gonna gain momentum to slowly start going direct, and then we have Saturn slowing down as well, preparing for its retrograde. So we have this two planet, one personal planet, one outer planet, kind of creating this friction in a way, right? There's two energies, and they're all linked together because they're forming aspect with each other, and they're both activating the eclipse degree points. So that's why this week the energy might feel pretty tense, and it's a square energy that we're working with, and Saturn kind of have the upper hand within all this transit. So I hope you're following along, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit more. Like I said, Mercury is stationing direct, and Mercury is activating the Scorpio lunar eclipse points that we just had in May 16. And Mercury is also squaring Saturn at this point. And Saturn is slowing down, preparing for its retrograde journey in Aquarius. Saturn is also squaring both eclipse degree point. So we have Mercury and Saturn kind of creating this pretty tense energy. This energy can feel like a standstill and reversing, because one is going direct, one is about to go retrograde, and then we have this kind of push and pull and tense energy with the square, and it's related to the lunar nodes, the eclipse that happened. So what's been happening in your life or as a collective the past month might be getting some kind of reversing or turning, developing during this week. So you have to see what's happening in your life around those eclipses, because the chances are maybe you'll see them developing, going another layer, or needing time for you to do some rethinking and revisiting for the next coming months. So Saturn in Aquarius is going to start its retrograde journey in Hong Kong time. It is going to be June 5th, early in the morning at 5:47 a.m. So in other parts of the world, in US Eastern time is going to be June 4th at night, 5:47 p.m. So this Saturn retrograde is going to last 4 months until October 23rd. Saturn goes retrograde for a few months every year, and Saturn is this planet that talks about boundaries, limitation, rules, structure, responsibility, and things like that. Now that Saturn is going retrograde for the next 4 months until late October, there's this energy of re-evaluating, reconstructing, rethinking process around all those stuff that I just mentioned. On a collective level, we can definitely see that energy playing out already. We can see, for example, different countries are maybe rearranging, reconstructing, redrawing their relationships with each other, their alliances, because of what's happening in the world. For example, we just recently find out that Finland and Sweden are going to join NATO, and there are also news about different countries. How are they going to maybe rearrange or redraw their boundaries or alliances with each other? We also see that there's news about redrawing voting district in the US. So we can see all this like rearranging, redrawing alliances, or within the country or amongst different countries in the world. And we might continue to see that as Saturn retrograde in the next few months. We might see more news surrounding that as a collective. We can also see different countries approach in retaining the virus, how the rules are like, how they set their guidelines, the quarantine restriction, and so on and so forth. We are going to see countries maybe withdrawing those rules and laws towards the virus in the next 4 months, as well as Saturn goes retrograde. On a personal level, Saturn retrograde can mean that we are being invited to slow down, to take a step back in our own life, and to see different areas of our life. What are the limitation, boundary, rules, restriction that we have set in different areas of our life, or just in our life in general? We have a chance to take a step back, to look at all of them, readjust, rearrange, redraw them. Are they working to our advantages, or are they hindering our growth, limiting what we are achieving in life? And are they healthy, or are they toxic? Are they becoming our own blocks that we created to what we truly want or want to achieve, want to go after in our life? So these are the questions we're being asked when Saturn goes retrograde. Some of the questions you can think about is, are you being too harsh? Are you gripping a little bit too tight? Are you setting up some limitation and boundaries based on your past experience, failures, mistake, because you are scared of what might happen in the future. Maybe they will just repeat, what happened in the past, or maybe you're scared of the unknown, of what might happen. Maybe you're scared of going after what you really want. That's really normal. That's why you set up all this restriction, limitation, and boundaries to yourself. Maybe during this Saturn retrograde, you're realizing that they are actually becoming your blocks, and you might want to rethink and redraw them so that you don't miss out on opportunities to go after what you truly want in life or what you feel aligned with. Maybe you have been neglecting some responsibility in your life, and it's time to get yourself back together, to set some boundaries for yourself. That might be another possibility. Or maybe you have been neglecting your boundaries, spreading yourself too thin and over-giving to certain areas or people in your life. And maybe during this Saturn retrograde, you are going to realize that, and you are going to withdraw the boundary during this Saturn retrograde to protect your energy and to limit the to limit your energy that you're giving to people, or limiting people's access to your energy. Maybe you have been neglecting your boundaries, spreading yourself too thin, and overgiving to certain people or areas of your life. So during this Saturn retrograde, you're going to realize that, or notice that, where you need to redraw those boundaries to protect your own energy and to limit certain people or areas' access to your energy, right? So these are the examples that you might be thinking about during this Saturn retrograde. And again, you can also take a look at your natal chart to see where this is happening in your natal chart. So that might give you a more clearer picture to what your Saturn retrograde story might be like. So as I mentioned earlier, Mercury stationing direct and Saturn going retrograde, both transits are going to activate the eclipse degree point that we just had earlier this month. So in a way, the hand of fates are being involved in this transits, as Mercury gonna go direct, and during the next few months when Saturn goes retrograde. So in a way, whatever happened around this time, or whatever that's going to develop later on, they are happening for a reason, for a purpose, for your highest good, even though you might not be able to understand or see the bigger picture right now. So just see what happens. Maybe it is happening to help you change or shift your life that feels difficult, that you have been waiting to change or shift for the better, and you haven't be able to do that. And then these two transits activating the eclipse point might bring in that universe intervention to help you to do that as well. And remember all this transit that are taking place this week: Mercury stationing direct in Taurus, Saturn retrograding in Aquarius, and both of them activating lunar points, eclipse degree points, which is happening in Taurus and Scorpio. They are all fixed sign energy. So that means that they are not meant to be some easy energy to work with, because fixed sign are the least wanting change, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not doable. It just means that it might feel a bit hard and tense in the beginning, but just trust and continue to move forward in your own pace with it. And nothing is set in stone, because even though we just had our eclipse season, they might kick off something in life. They might cause some changes and shift in certain areas in your life, or in your life in general. But it doesn't mean that that's it and then it stops, right? Energy in the cosmos flows like chi. They continue to flow as time goes. It doesn't mean that they're just gonna be here and gone the next day. they continue to come in and out, and each time they do that, there's another renewal, there's another deeper layer that goes under it, right? And just flow with it. And I feel like the eclipse season that just happened might have kicked off things in life for yourself or as a collective. And they might continue to change and shift and develop over the next few months until we reach another eclipse season in the fall. So just flow with the energy, see what happens during this week and how they continue to unfold in the weeks or months to come. So yes, it feels a bit, on edge and a bit angsty, but don't worry, just trust that whatever is happening eventually is for your highest good. This is what's happening up in the sky this week. Now let us move to the collective reading. Hi everyone, welcome to the collective reading, where we will take a look and see what the tarot cards and oracle cards have for us for this upcoming week from May 30th to June 5th. Please note that this is a collective reading. It will not resonate with everybody. So just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. If you want to do a personal reading with me, please feel free to contact me. All my information, email, IG is in the description box, and I hope to connect with you there as well. So let's see what's happening this upcoming week. What is the collective message this upcoming week from May 30th to June 5th? All the cards have been meditated and shuffled already. Let's see. Okay, let's dig in. Woo. As I mentioned before in the astrology part, this week's energy can be very tense for some people to work with, as it is a pretty tense and fixed energy that we're working with. And Saturn is stationing retrograde at the end of the week as well, and Saturn is super prominent in this reading. Just like what I mentioned in the astrology, Saturn is in Aquarius right now. We have Aquarius cards coming out, so but don't fear, we also have the happiest card in the deck, the Sun, coming out. So like I said before, whatever is happening this week, whatever is happening during eclipse, whatever happened during your eclipse season, and however all these are going to change, shift, and develop in the coming months during Saturn retrograde. It is happening for a purpose, because all these energy are activating the eclipse degree points, which is ultimately there's hands of fate being involved in all these for our highest good, even though we can't see the bigger picture just yet. But the Sun is here, is ultimately aligning to what we want in life, aligning with our energy and happening for our highest good. So like I mentioned before, this week, as this is a general reading, I'm picking up different storylines right here. I see that there's a group of people here that have been just struggling in the head. A lot is happening, maybe in your life or within your mind, that is stressing you out, that you feel like you are constantly battling with yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and you're feeling alone. You feel trapped within yourself, within your mind. And this week, maybe it reached to the max, right? it reached to the point where you just want to break down. You don't want to deal with it again. And good news, you don't, because it is coming to an end. All your self-sabotaging behavior, thoughts, and thinking, all this restriction, boundaries, limitation, responsibility that you are suppressing within you, you might finally realize as Saturn begins to retrograde that many of them are created by you within your mind, right? Sometimes we are the biggest block to hinder our growth, to stop us from going after what we truly want for ourselves and our life. We are our best friend and our worst enemy sometimes in life. And this week, some of us are realizing that, right? That it is time to get out of your head. It is time to not be stuck in this loop of overthinking, sabotaging behavior, self-limiting belief, stressing the shit out of yourself, and getting nowhere. Ultimately, who is this hindering? Your own growth, your own life. Do you want to keep doing this? And time flies. Suddenly you're at the end of it and you're regretting everything, right? Don't let that happen to you. The sun is here to remind you that it is never too late to get out of your own head. There's always a way if you have a will. So if you're realizing you're looping back or you're having this behavior, it's okay. This upcoming 4 months when Saturn goes retrograde, it is inviting you to take a step back, slow down, and see where in your life are you doing this self-harm behavior to yourself that is ultimately doing harm to yourself or the relationships around you or an area in your life or just in life in general. And it's time to stop doing that. Our mind can be a very dynamic place, right? Our mind is a place where we spend the most time in. Make it a peaceful, harmonious, happy place to be. If it's always filled with negativity, self-limiting beliefs, lack and all these things, how is it going to make you a happy person, right? So this is one of the message from the spread. The second message that I am getting is that for another group of people, you have been fighting. You have been trying to defend yourself, right? You feel like you are constantly fighting for yourself, defending yourself. You have to explain to other people why you're doing this, why you're doing this for yourself, why are you making this decision, this and that. And you're constantly feeling like you're battling with others in your life, that you have to explain yourself, you have to defend yourself. And people is always trying to feed you negativity or kind of shooting you down, right? Whenever you have a suggestion, idea, people always kind of shoot you off, right? Or shut you down. And you're tired, right? This week you're like, you know what? This is not going anywhere. I'm constantly, being disagreed. My ideas is not heard in the office, or no one is listening to me. I constantly have to fight for things that I want in life, whether it is in a work situation, relationship with friends, family, lover, or just for yourself in general. And this week you're like, fuck that, whatever, I'm not going to do that anymore. This is my life. I shouldn't be constantly have to defend myself and always fight back. I am just going to do whatever I want and learn not to care so much and take in other people's consideration too much, right? I'm going to listen to my heart, following my heart, my intuition. Where is it guiding me? What am I aligning with? Instead of constantly, have to explain myself. For another group of people, it is about you actually fighting what you want in your life because you're listening to yourself, right? Because you have been listening to your heart, following your heart, your intuition, trying to align with what is calling you in life. This week you're slowly knowing what you want in life. And we also just have this Mars and Jupiter conjunction that happened in Aries. And this is one of the highlight moments of Mars journey in Jupiter. Mars and Aries journey in this 2 months until early July. This is one of I think maybe the most explosive and inspiring point of Mars journey in Aries is to really kind of wake you up, light up, ignite that inner fire within you. And it's not just today, like I said, all this aspect happening on a certain day and time, but the energy can be coming a little bit before and after. So maybe around this time this week, you are feeling that energy, right? Your inner fire is being blown up 10 times bigger because of Jupiter. When whatever Jupiter touch, it magnify, right? So Aries is all about the self, right? It is all about self-development. And depending where it is happening in your natal chart, that house is getting lit, real lit, on fire. So you can take a look to see what that means to you. Maybe you're really listening to that voice inside you, right? It is time to truly go after what you want in life for yourself. This is your life after all, right? What are you standing up for? What are you fighting for? You're speaking your truth. You are letting that fire guide you to what you want. So this is a very strong message that's coming out as well. And for another group of people, I see that you have been putting in the work. You have been slowly building up what you want, aligning with yourself to what is really calling you in life. And this week you are finally seeing the reward. You are reaping what you sow, right? So maybe it is when it is during that last week, right? Or even earlier, it was during Venus enter Aries earlier in the beginning of, I believe, if I'm not wrong, I can't remember the exact day. I believe it's early May that Venus enters Aries, which is all about self-love, right? Putting in the work, taking care of yourself, listening to your heart. What do you truly want? Are you taking care of yourself, or are you taking care of everybody else around you but yourself, right? And for some, it is about work situation. Maybe during Mercury retrograde, the past couple of weeks, you have been doing some rethinking, revisiting, reevaluating about everything that Taurus govern, right? It is about your self-value, your self-worth, your relationship with money, right? and you're having some thought about it. Maybe there are certain limiting beliefs that is being changed or shift. Maybe the way you see yourself, your relationship with money, your self-value and your self-worth change during this Mercury retrograde. And now that later at the end of the week when Mercury station direct, you are ready to put in the work to make those changes and shift in your life that is more aligned to your self-worth and self-value. What is your life about, right? What does money mean to you? You're having, kind of like new ideas that you want to work towards, or new goals that you want to work towards. And the energy is supporting you to put in the work. It is not going to happen overnight. It is going to require you to put in effort, time, and work. But ultimately, you are moving towards your goal. And I see that maybe during Leo season, so it is probably late July, August, that time, you are going to see result. So if that's happening for you, somehow I just have this timeline coming in. So that if this resonates with you, you can see it being developed. The story will develop, and you might see results in a couple months during Leo season. So this is what I'm picking up from the reading. Let's see if there's any more other message and guidance from the Oracle card for us this week. I'm going to take all the cards out and then we'll talk about it one by one. Hello, so all the cards are out. Let's begin. Remember how I mentioned just now when I talk about the tarot reading, I just pick up a timeline for a group of you that whatever that you are working with or happen or start this week or around this time, you might see development or result during Leo season. And Spirit has confirmed my message by showing not one, but both Leo cards from this moonology. Whoa. All right, so from the moonology deck, we have new moon in Leo, which is happening during Leo season. Confidence is your key to success. Just now, I did mention that, Saturn retrograde is going to invite us to ask ourselves the limitation, boundaries, rules that we have been setting for ourselves and to all the relationships that we have, right? So sometimes it is not easy. It is not easy to break or set boundaries, limitations for ourselves and others, And confidence is the key to success, right? It is hard when you want to tell someone about your boundaries that they might not receive it well. They might, take it personally, right? But that is something you have to do ultimately for yourself if you want to take care of yourself, and vice versa, right? And then we have full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way, right? And then this is the other side of setting boundaries, right? Sometimes we have too much pride in ourselves. We want to be everybody's best friend. We want to be the go-to person. And that is why we are not setting boundaries to protect our energy and people's access to our energy. And ultimately, our pride hurt us. So don't let pride get in your way. Set the boundaries that you need when you are people-pleasing, over-giving, right? During this upcoming 4 months when Saturn retrograde, these are your lessons, questions, and areas to work on. And lastly, we have a romantic cycle begins. New moon in Libra. And for some people, maybe this is about relationships We are working a lot with relationship this year. A lot of the astrology this year is all about relationship, not just romantic, but the one that you have with yourself and with others. It is about finding that balance. And of course, for some, depending on how this how the astrology, then the transit is showing up in your own natal chart, it can be about romantic relationship. The Gemini house in your natal chart has been going through a lot of quote-unquote renovation. It has been going through a lot because the past 18 months we have eclipse seasons taking place in our Gemini house. And for some people, maybe that house is about relationship, and that is why this card is showing up. Okay. And then from the spirit animal deck, we have horse spirit. Freedom is yours. Freedom is yours when you learn how to balance and set boundaries for yourself and with people in your life. So again, this is resonating that Saturn retrograde message that I shared earlier. And then we have hawk spirit. Let spirit be your guide. Again, all the transit happening is activating the eclipse degree point this week, which means that there is some sort of divine intervention, fated change, or things that might just happen, you know, out of your control. Trust and let spirit be your guides. Lastly, we have butterfly spirit. Transformation is beautiful. Eclipse season is all about bringing in transformation for us, right? Whether it is starting or ending something, cycles in our life, and it is happening in Scorpio, right? One of the lunar nodes is happening, is Scorpio, South Node in Scorpio, which is all about transformation. So spirit message is really clear cut, loud and clear. Here from the Starseed Oracle, we have weight of the world, boundaries. Ooh, Saturn, let it go. It's not yours to carry, right? This is exactly what the Saturn retrograde that is happening this week and happening for us next 4 months, right? It is all about you taking a step back, looking at the areas, everything, right? Yourself, all your relationships or different areas in your life. What kind of limits, boundary, rules, structure you're setting? Are they hindering you or are they working to your advantage? If they are getting heavy, it is time to let it go. It is not yours to carry. And if you are gripping it too tight, exactly, let it go. But if it is happening opposite, that you're not setting boundaries to protect yourself, to set limits or boundaries for yourself, it is time to do that as well. Because you cannot run on empty. How can you give when you're constantly pouring out from your cup and not filling in your cup, right? So this is spirit message to us, loud and clear about this upcoming Saturn retrograde that's happening. I'll just quickly also read the guidebook message for you here. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after your own well-being before anyone else's. To stop carrying the world's problem on your shoulder, to put on your own oxygen mask first. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. However, you can take on its problem from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others. That is incredible, but the way you have been doing so is likely unsustainable. This isn't to say you should switch off to the world's problem and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taking out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy both physically and emotionally. So instead of digesting the news or reaching out for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice such as meditation, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in the state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. At the day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up again the next morning if you so to choose, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. Woohoo! Okay, and lastly, from the Self-Care Oracle, we have kindness. What if being kind to yourself really could change everything? Again, I think this is resonating with the whole Saturn retrograde story, right? If you are at the end of not having any boundaries for yourself, not taking care of yourself first, always, giving and not taking care of your boundaries and limits, well, the card is asking you it's time to set those boundaries and take care of yourself. All right, I hope this message helps and resonates with you in any shapes or way. Feel free to contact me if you need a personal reading, and I'll see you back here next week. Have a good week ahead. Bye.